Welcome to The Connection Code, a podcast where we explore the relationships that make your life and work just a little bit better.
I'm Gina Anderson Cohen. I am the founder of A Sweat Life, which is a health and wellness media company that tricks adults into making friends. And I'm also building a social gathering and event space in New Buffalo, Michigan called Petite Acres. I love to talk about friendship, gathering, and connection.
Hi, I'm Rachel Gilman-Rischel. I run a PR firm called 3PR focused on healthy food brands that will hopefully take over your fridge and snack cabinet. And then I also love introducing people and being a bridge between people who should know each other.
Rachel, we have a fun topic that you and I are going to talk through, just the two of us today. But also before we dive in, would you like to celebrate anything, just you and me?
Gina, right before we started, I had this moment of realization that we have hit our 1-year podcast anniversary.
Happy podiversary, Rachel.
Happy podiversary, friend. This has been a really wonderful year together.
Yes, I've loved every second of it.
Can I say thank you to you for A, having the idea, B, asking me to be a part of it, and C, knowing how to do all the technology that would have prevented me from ever starting a podcast.
Yeah. And can I say thank you to you for having such an incredible network, tapping into it, and bringing really great guests with your very good PR pitching skills, which have served us wildly in booking amazing guests.
I think what I love is that you never know when you start collaborating with somebody how it will go. And we obviously started with high expectations and lots of lofty hopes, but I love working with you. And I run my own business, so I'm always kind of this one-person show. And it's been really nice to have a partnership.
Yeah, I like it too. And it's nice we check in for the listener at home. We check in like once a week and we'll talk about podcast stuff, but usually it's like 20 minutes life, 10 minutes podcast, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, we're friending and we're potting. It's like a combo platter.
Yeah, we get to the end and we're like, oh, we should talk about podcast. Well, thank you for doing this with me. I want to keep going.
Me too. And thank you to everybody who's listened over the past year, which would namely be my parents, so I don't think I've missed an episode. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thanks to my mom and dad. And also, jokes aside, we've heard from non-Gilmans too.
Yes. I think one of my favorite moments was when we got a fan note from somebody we didn't know in real life, and it was incredibly affirming.
Yeah. So please send us notes.
And subscribe and do all the things and rate us. It feels so uncomfortable to ask for, but it really is a nice vindicator of what we're doing.
Right. We would really like your affirmation.
Which actually segues so well into the topic today. Yes.
Yes, it does. Because we're talking about social media and its impact on friendship, but I also we're going to talk about FOMO a lot too, because I think it's two sides of the same coin. But let's, start with an easy one, Rachel. How has social media impacted your friendships and connections?
Okay. I think net positive overall. Yeah. I know some people don't like social media because they feel like they're connected to people from the outer reaches of their life. I'm the antithesis. I love that I am friends with my high school friends' parents and former teachers and people I went to camp with 30 years ago. I like that there's this digital community that still exists and I can tap into people from all stages of my life. So that sort of like yearbook but alive feel suits me. I understand for other people, though, that they can find it a little invasive and that they'd rather have in real life friendship. How do you feel?
Well, I feel like if I'm going to look at it positivally, it has given us this like peephole. And also this is just from a friendship lens. Obviously, there are other like social, economic, psychological impacts to social media, but let's talk just friendship. It gives us this peephole into each other's lives where we can take a little look and see like maybe what's curated, but like at least what's happening. If you've graduated, if you've gotten married, if you had a child, if you got a new job. So then next time I run into you, Rachel, my question isn't, how are you doing? Or what's new? My question is, how's your new job? How's that project you're working on? Which is, it gives you a sense of knowing someone better. And when you run into each other, you have more to touch base on because of it.
It's a funny thing though, because
Yeah.
God, this is going to make me sound ancient. So
Go
at
ahead.
my 10-year high school reunion, which was way back in 2009.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Facebook was around at that point.
Mhm.
And the weirdest thing was to go to this reunion in Minnesota and be
Mhm.
in this bar and see people and not have to actually ask the normal questions that one
Yeah.
might at a reunion, because people had done exactly that. They'd been checking on Facebook, they'd been adding people.
Yeah.
Like, you almost were starting at the third base of a conversation,
Right.
but you hadn't done the work to get there. So it's this strange acceleration of, I know more about you than I should, and therefore I'm connecting with you as if I'm familiar with your spouse or your new job or where you moved to. I can't decide how I feel about it. Like, on one hand, you're right. It's like, oh, we skipped all the things and now I can jump into the present.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's something much more normal about, fill me in on what you've been up to.
Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Well, what's interesting about that, Rachel, is I feel like that would stick out because it would have been early in your experience with social media. So it would have been that first like group gathering where you're like, I don't need to ask you if you got married because you changed your status to married on Facebook.
Oh, wait till we get to Facebook statuses.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. So like that would have been early. And so that leads me to a question. Let's talk about your earliest memories of social media. What was your first impression?
Have we ever talked about, actually, I'm already laughing, about my Friendster story?
No. I mean, like, maybe. I feel like I've heard you say the word Friendster before, and in my head I chuckled, but go on.
I think that there's going to be plenty of people who don't even know what Friendster is. It's such a specific moment in time.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, like, it's in the MySpace era, too.
I even preceded, perhaps. I think Friendster was the first social media site that really caught on. I was like 22, 23. And the reason there's a story is, so I'm in my first PR job. This site breaks big. Everybody's like very into the idea of like grabbing friends from all over.
Yeah.
And I was trying really hard at this point to build my media relationships. And there was nowhere that was more important than the Associated Press, the AP. Oh. Right? Like, that was everything.
Yeah.
So, my God, there was a service you could subscribe to. I think at the time it was called Haro, and it was like help a reporter out.
Help a reporter out.
Yeah. And a reporter could say, here's what I'm looking for. And then you as a PR person could be like, I've got it. So I saw this AP reporter, Martha Irvine, post that she was doing a story on Friendster, and she needed to talk to real people who both appreciated the site and didn't like it. And I was like, I've got this. I'm like, I love it. My sister hates it. I'm going to offer myself up. I'll offer up my sister. And then I'll make friends with this reporter. And that will be really great because I'll get to know somebody who's a real journalist. So I reach out to Martha, my little 22, 23-year-old self. I offer up my sister and I as contrarian points on Friendster. Yeah. And she says, great, I'd love to interview you both. So I'm like, amazing. So Martha interviews me. She interviews my sister. It turns out she had a University of Michigan affiliation too. I tell her that I'm taking journalism classes. Like, I really want to get to know Martha. I really want her to like mentor me and be a person in my life. And then she says, we actually want to run a photo in the story. Can we take a picture of you and your sister? And again, I default to yes. And coincidentally, my sister and I were going to be on vacation together, visiting my parents in California. Gina, suffice to say, we didn't schedule enough time to get cute for this photo. The photographer showed up. We were not ready. Oh, no. It's such a bad picture. Like, everything, like the frosty eyeshadow, the curly, crunchy hair, the unflattering outfit. We're positioned back to back, like we're in like some Disney sitcom where it's like one sister gets
arms
the other
crossed
sister.
Or no?
Oh yeah, arms crossed, leaning into the back. And the thing about the Associated Press is that it's syndicated, which means the stories run all over the United States. So when Martha's Friendster story ran, the cover image is my sister and I in papers all across the entire country. And the first line of the story is, Rachel Gilman has always had a lot of friends. But now, thanks to a new service called Friendster, she has friends of friends and friends of friends. And that was the opener.
Yeah.
It was. I was so embarrassed for so many reasons.
Photo.
I do have it somewhere. I mean, it did me no
I'm
favors.
I'm gonna find it.
I don't know if
Based
my
on that
sister and I
lead
have ever
alone.
looked worse in a photo together. But that was my first taste of social media. And the upside and the craziest part of it, and maybe it won't surprise you, is that Martha and I have stayed in touch for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
We are still connected. She has been a friend and a mentor and shown up for me. And she now teaches journalism at DePaul and recently said, will you talk to one of my students about journalism and PR in the food world? So I just did an informational interview to help her student out. So
that's
as
pretty
full
cute
circle as it can get.
Yeah. What I like about that story is it's a lot of like online friends to real friends.
Let me tell you, that story made me know new friends.
And if anything, besides Martha.
Yeah, you know what? It led to Martha, and Martha is wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, I suppose, that we did it. But R.I.P. Friendster.
Yeah.
All right. What was your maiden voyage with social media?
Well, okay. So, I mean, I definitely played around with MySpace, but I wasn't like a MySpace person because you had to be this sort of person who wanted to like rank your top 8 friends and update the background. Rough. You know, like I used AOL Instant Messenger until I got to college. If we want to call that a social network, we can. However, my freshman year of college, 2008.
Wait, I love that you're okay. I forget that I'm a bit older. Yes, yeah.
I know, but that's fine. You're only, it's like 6 years older, whatever. 6 school years. 6 school years. So my freshman year at Wisconsin, we got early-ish access to the Facebook at that time. Because it was for the children listening at home, it was the Facebook, and you only could access it through certain .edu email addresses. So if you weren't at one of the universities that had been selected in those sort of early releases, you didn't have Facebook access yet. So it got to like Wisconsin, Michigan in that sort of second tier, but they followed this really interesting elite sort of, I would say like demand generation marketing schedule, where, and who knows if they even understood what they were doing. Maybe they did, but they went Ivies first, and then it was like big universities. And then after that, you had to request to get your .edu included. And then they expanded to like others who didn't have a .edu email address. So I was in that early, call it like second wave .edu email address that got access to the Facebook. We had it before Halloween on Madison's campus, Wisconsin, which is important because of the timelines of Wisconsin. However, photos weren't yet released as a feature set for Facebook. So photo albums became a big thing in my college career. You're lucky you didn't have it, Rachel, because now I have a lot of private photo albums that I would never want to give anyone access to on Facebook because they are stupid, drunk uploads of like a digital camera night out. That's
Gina, I think I'm the last of no photos online of college.
Good.
Yeah. Because there were not digital cameras.
Yeah. So I have like whole albums when I'm studying abroad of like, yes, like beautiful places across the world, but then also like, here's a wine tasting where I did not take the directions to spit the wine out.
Be wasteful. Yes.
Yeah. Why be wasteful? It's so good. So Facebook was sort of like my entry point when I got to college. And it was really interesting at that time because it was like a profile photo, relationship status, and you could poke each other and message. So poke. Yeah. Yes. So poking was like a huge part of how you would tell someone you thought they were cute. Like I remember there was a guy from my poli-sci class and I found him on Facebook and I poked him. And that's how I let him know that I was interested. Ooh la la. But then by the end of my time at college, Twitter was released. So it had like kind of a staggered release. Like they were working on the product 2006, but it had its its big launch at South by Southwest. So by my senior year, I graduated in 2008. I had access to it in 2007. So wild times where we were getting like long form, like photo album uploads, like posting statuses that are like, I don't know if I can study like this for much longer.
It's so innocent looking back. I mean, it was just, we had the early era of social media when it wasn't toxic.
Yeah. Or it was toxic in different ways, but not as openly anonymous and toxic.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember thinking Instagram was just a photo filtering site.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that the photos went public at first. I was just playing around with like, ooh, black and white, ooh, a sepia tone. And then I was like, oh, other people can see these?
Right.
That's how early it was.
Right. And back then it was like, it was a friend curation space.
Yeah.
So you weren't adding people you didn't know. You were adding people like you mostly knew or wanted to get to know. So it was like friends of friends, or like the guy you liked from high school, his new girlfriend, college, not me, someone else, I'm sure. Definitely not me. It wouldn't have been me. Why? So like those sorts of relationship, you at the very least like knew of each other. So from friendship curation to influence curation is, I think, like what we're following now.
Yes. Oh, I could go down such a rabbit hole because I'm thinking about the way that people would write on your wall, and it would be this public exchange of messages that anybody could read, but people, it felt like in your dorm when you had a whiteboard on your front door and people would write you a silly message. Okay, well, like, let's maybe go from there because I feel like you now have a question on the dark side of social media.
I do, yeah, but let's talk about Facebook birthdays for a second, because that was one thing that was like lovely, because you'd wake up on your birthday back when Facebook was the place, and it would be like some amount of friends wishing you happy birthday. Now it's just like your aunt's friend.
I used to term it the call-in wall. Like, you had to call somebody for their birthday and wish them a happy birthday, but then you had to post on the wall too.
Of
and
course.
The call-in wall was a combo platter.
Yeah, you can't do just one because like you didn't publicly wish me happy birthday.
But I know that I'm well over 35 because I don't post on Instagram stories about people's birthdays.
No, me neither.
No, I think, but if you're a certain age and you don't put up a story to celebrate your friend, you're so rude.
You're really rude. Yeah. But no, we're forgiving because we're in our 40s. Okay, let's talk about FOMO,
people do it. I think it's so nice. It's so nice when people do it.
Nice.
When they choose the most flattering photo they have and put up a birthday message. That's lovely.
Yeah. But we're millennials. We're excused.
Yes. We're still on Facebook.
Yeah. We're still on Facebook. I mean, like, I have a Facebook, I guess. Okay, let's talk about FOMO. I think that's the other side of the social media coin. So we have like friendship curation, and then you have this like everybody's having fun without me feeling. So have you ever experienced FOMO, seeing a social media post or not posted something in order to avoid giving someone FOMO?
Yes and yes. And again, this is why I'm glad I'm a little bit older for social media, because I think in my 20s, or high school or college, all of this would have felt much more raw if I was watching in real time people socialize and I'm like, wait, I wasn't at that party or I wasn't part of this thing. Like, it would hold so much more weight.
Right.
I don't fortunately feel that as much today, but I do feel like there are moments where it's like, if I do share this girl's dinner or this particular thing, could it sit funny with somebody else? Wanting to be a little more cognizant. There was an instance where I was a total bystander, but I was watching play out on social media, a group of people posting something, knowing somebody else was going to feel like shit. And I had this like secondary, like, oh no. And it's just not mean spirited, but I think maybe a touch insensitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
know.
about you?
I think same thing if I was watching everyone like go on a trip without me, or like a wedding weekend that I wasn't invited to, or a baby shower, or like there are all these moments in life that like have guest lists and you're not always going to make the cut. Like, that's the truth. In my 20s, those things absolutely affected me. Now I don't really, I say this, but I don't know if it would hold true if it was like a very close group of friends and I was the only one not invited. But I don't usually experience FOMO anymore. But
wait, I'm going to make a confession. I did skip something, I realized.
Okay, give it.
As long as we're being in the spirit of honesty.
In the spirit of dog working. Okay.
There's somebody I've lost touch with in real life, but I was still connected to on Instagram. And I was like, I'm seeing this content and it's making me feel bad. Not because we stay in touch, not because I should be there, but I felt like just even seeing this person's life unfold was irritating me. And I was getting like unnecessarily triggered by watching that person do XYZ. And I'm like, you know what? This is my issue. I need to just either, I don't think I unfollow, but I was like, I'm not going to opt in anymore. They're living their life. It's fine. And if I'm going to feel some sort of negative emotion tied to the choices that they're making, then that's on me. I need to just disengage. But I can see how and I've heard of this, like somebody else in my life was like hate watching somebody else's content that I knew. Yep. And I was like, oh no. I felt so uncomfortable as she's saying like, I can't believe she's wearing this and I can't believe she's going to all these places and I can't believe she parties like this. And I'm like, oh, I feel distinctly uncomfortable that I know both of you and you're observing this person's content through a lens of pretty intense judgment. Oh, yeah. And then all you can do if you're me is be like, oh shit, what am I posting that people feel really triggered or uncomfortable about? It creates this uncomfortable sensation of how am I being assessed and judged with how I show up online, which we'll go into one of these questions too.
Yeah. Well, that is the question about like, how much are you integrating feedback that's not even like happening? How much are you integrating like the potential thought process of someone else? Like that's what goes through young people's minds as they're posting. Like, are they going to think I'm pretty? Are they going to think I'm fun? Are they going to like my outfit? Like whatever. It's so much like mental gymnastic work.
I know.
Yeah. I think a hate follow or even like someone you follow who is triggering to you, it's just mute them. Mute them. It is not worth well, first of all, if you're screenshot, I don't think you do this, Rachel, but I do have a friend who was for a while like screenshotting someone else's posts and sending them to people. Yeah. And I just think like that behavior is mean. So like if you're doing that, like just unfollow them or hide their posts so that you're not seeing them because there's too much.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I guess, and that's the thing. Like if you really can't handle the thought that your content could be interpreted the wrong way or used for nefarious purposes, you can't post. Like that's just...
Or post privately.
Yes. So I was private for a while. And then actually a work contact of mine was trying to help me with something. And she goes, you're really not doing yourself any favors because you can't collaborate. You can't do this. You can't do that. Like if you're going to blend your business in your account, you should be public. And I was like, oh, you're right. And so I went back to public.
Yeah. You could always make like a close
Not that anybody is like so excited about what I'm posting that they're like, oh no, it makes a difference to nobody. But it was something that I was kind of grappling with because it is a blend of my family, but also my work.
Yeah. Yeah. You could make a close friends list for stories. And then if you post content that you don't want everyone to see, you could just post to close friends if you want, which is a nice feature. Okay. But speaking of professional, let's talk
your face.
about LinkedIn.
Let's talk about LinkedIn.
Yeah, let's do it. It's a whole different beast. How has that enhanced or eroded your business relationships?
Gina, what an excellent question. I want to start by saying I do generally like LinkedIn. I think people are on very nice behavior, but it is performative. If the term humble brag lived as a website, it would be LinkedIn. And I'm just as guilty because I feel like that's the rules of the road. And I avoided for a long time posting because I'm like, who cares? And then I was like, oh, I run a PR business. I need to promote the work that I'm doing and that of my clients. Like it's almost on your checklist of things you're doing if you're in PR you should be posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I try to be judicious about it. I try to not just be like, look what I got. Maybe do a behind the scenes story or something that might be generally useful. But LinkedIn is a little bit pat yourself on the back and then maybe feel a tiny shame spiral that you're doing so.
Well, have you made, I'm sure you've made like connections on LinkedIn though, because I know you have built a really lovely network. So it's both, right?
I don't know that there's people in real life that I'm like, LinkedIn was really the linchpin of our relationship, but I do think it's, again, like a good stay in touch place. I will connect with reporters. I will comment on things. I think it's a way to keep relationships active. And I like to see what people are up to. Oh, you got a new job, or oh, you wrote this article, or you're part of this event. It's a helpful news bulletin in many ways.
Yeah.
But there are some moments where you're like, it's a professional highlight reel.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you? You are good at LinkedIn.
Well, I also think LinkedIn is odd but lovely. And every once in a while I'll see, so I have a hard time.
Like the socially awkward class president.
Yeah. Yeah. Odd but lovely. I have a hard time, like when I see something that's like so inauthentic or like doesn't hit the mark or whatever, like there was this conference that was being hosted and they posted like a photo, for example, of all their speakers and it was dudes, 100% dudes. And then I looked at the comments to see if like any other women had noticed or said anything. Cause like, that's an easy, like, hey, did no one say this to you? So I looked in the comments and what I've noticed is if anyone has anything to say that isn't like 100% complimentary, especially women, they couch it in something so positive. So this particular instance, which I'm talking about now, like the women in the comments were like, such an exciting conference. Do you need help finding women? And like that was like the most crystallized example of, I think, what you see, especially because you can't, like, it's a very hard place to go in and be like, you couldn't find a single woman. like you can't post that won't work in a workplace. It won't work on LinkedIn. And so I see why those are the rules of the road, but also at the same time, it's often like women policing themselves. It's how I feel.
I do love a hot take comment section on LinkedIn because it is interesting to see people get into it a little bit.
Yeah.
I had one really nice LinkedIn thing that came to mind though. Did we already talk about when I posted about Shira getting in trouble for talking too much at drama camp?
Yes, but go on. I think that was a lovely back and forth.
That was my favorite. So last summer, Shira was going to theater camp, which is a place that you'd think would reward being vocal. And I guess she was talking too much at the wrong time and she got chastised for it. And she felt really embarrassed and ashamed to tell me that she'd gotten in trouble for talking too much. And it struck a chord because I was often told as a child that I talked too much in school. And it made me think about something that had been circulating social media of, for all the girls that were told you talk too much as a child, what's your career today? And I shared the story about Shira. And people came out of the woodwork and it became almost this therapy session in the comments, not just women, but of people saying, I was criticized for being too outspoken or extroverted or having too many opinions. And today I'm a journalist. I do this. I'm on air. I write. I run a communications firm. And I loved all of this sentiment that was building. And a lot of people being like, I get Shira, affirm Shira. Shira's doing okay. Like she's got this. And that was a really sweet sort of community moment on LinkedIn that didn't feel, again, performative or for anything but a chance for people to come together and kind of share, this happened to me and here I am today.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I remember that. And I will say that it's a very positive place for my business that's growing, and my husband's business that's growing. Like we post pretty transparently about like the process of building Petite Acres, and people have been so supportive and along for the ride. And we have couples that follow us on LinkedIn. So they're like not only seeing like the, yay, these fun things are happening on the property, they're also seeing like the metrics, the business side of it. So it's fun from that perspective that we can share transparently about the business, like the good and the bad. And that has led to a lot of people like reaching out and offering to help, which I love.
But that's why I think you guys are special is you don't just sugarcoat and you don't just
Yeah.
share the things that are like sparkly and wonderful. You're kind of
Yeah.
giving this fuller picture, which I think that authenticity is most attractive.
Thank you. I think so too. I am looking forward to when the photos aren't muddy though. Well, Rachel, my closing question for you is if we were to change social media to be a friendlier place,
Oh, I made a list.
What would you do to make it serve your relationships?
Gina, I loved this question, which I did think about in advance. I'm like, if I was a genie and I could wave a magic wand over social media, what would I want out of it? So here's what I came up with. If anybody who runs a social media site stumbles upon this, please take to heart. Okay. What if after a certain number of digital interactions with a friend, a social media site prompted you to get off your screen and either call them or make a real life plan? It's like, you have reached your quota of DMs with Gina. Please make a phone call or,
make a plan.
Because they can notify you so many things. Like I'm always getting notified that I'm hitting my screen time limit. Why doesn't it notify me that now would be a good time to hear your voice? So I think this idea of move to IRL friendship after a digital quota would be great. This one might be more controversial. It's not perfect, but I wish we could get rid of public likes. And the reason I say this is that I think rating systems incentivize people for the wrong thing. You stop sharing because you have a genuine desire or something you want to say or express, and then you're trying to put out content that you think is going to be received well so you can be validated in the form of likes. And I don't like that metric. I wish there was a way that you could either just remove it entirely or people could show appreciation or express support in a way that didn't seem so numbers driven.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You could do it on, you could do it on Instagram. You can't do it on LinkedIn.
I think I have the setting on Instagram where I don't see how many likes something got because I'm like, I don't want to count.
I don't need it.
Like,
I don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think especially if you're a teenager, a teenager doesn't need to see 17 people liked this and 77 people liked that, because then you're going to want to do the thing that more people liked, which actually might be a negative take or too revealing of your body, or do you know what I mean? You create a system that rewards potentially not constructive, healthy behavior. So that's my third one. Second one. Third one is kind of inspired by our recent interview with Danielle Bear-Jackson. What if social media sites actually incorporated tips from friendship experts? So Facebook gives you birthday reminders. Why can't social media sites give you friendship reminders and give you like a tip of the day or a piece of advice from an accredited friendship expert to strengthen your relationships, right? Like you have a captive audience. You push out content all the time. Push out something helpful.
Yeah, make it helpful.
Make it helpful. And then my last thought is, do you remember Upworthy?
Yes.
Okay. I don't even know exactly how to frame it, but it was a social media site that celebrated good news, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And you voted it up?
Yeah. You could upvote great stories. I want the algorithm to refresh and start figuring out a way to reward positivity instead of servicing clickbait. So if you respond to what you see, and so much of your news and what comes into your world is determined by an algorithm that is programmed to surface things you're going to stay on longer and are going to maybe upset you. Couldn't we make a happier algorithm?
Yeah. Yes.
Puppies, babies, good news stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Do you know what my algorithm is right now? My Instagram search page, it's friends clips and babies.
Perfect. That's like perfect.
Chubby babies.
Perfect.
Yes. All right, Gina, how are you going to rewire social media for the good?
Okay, mine's more of like a systemic change.
so yours is data and mine is rainbows.
Yeah, I like it. But I think there should be like authenticity and like anti-bot systems in place. But the thing that I really want to implement is a licensure process. So like if that goes both ways. So if you're developing social media sites, you have to be accredited and licensed in order to develop, because these systems have been shown to be appealing for and addictive to youth, and also incredibly detrimental to mental health if used improperly and not supervised. So like, because we know all these things, and because we know that the deep impact of that, you should have to pass the test the same way a teacher would, the same way a doctor would, the same way a social worker would, because you're acting on the minds of young people. That's my soapbox. I also think you should have to pass a road test before you use social media. So you should have to pass, like, we see countries like Australia implementing these bans on social media until a certain age. Like, what happens at that age? Are they just set free? So what if at 15 or 16 or whatever, you took a road test for social media, like the do's and don'ts? And then if the behaviors are normative, if we give them like, this is right, this is wrong, this is how we talk to people, this is how we don't talk to people.
Driver's ed for social media.
Then you could be ticketed. you could have, for example, like, if you're driving while intoxicated, you could have your license taken away. If you're social mediaing with hate speech, you could have your social media taken away. So I think it has to be like bi-directional. Like, there should be like some FTC oversight for the people who develop for it, and there should be some oversight for the people who are using it.
Oh, Gina, I love that so much. I fully agree with you. I think I saw the YouTube CEO was interviewed, I think because YouTube has surpassed all metrics. That's where people are getting their TV, all this stuff. But he was saying something along the lines of, we can't prevent our kids from being in the digital landscape, but we can make it safer once they're inside of it. And I'm like, yes, so be it. Everybody's going to live digitally. What do you do there, though, to make it a better and more positive experience and be protective? So I like this licensure idea a ton.
Well, Rachel, now is as good a time as ever for show and tell, don't you think?
Yes. I want to see what you have in store for us.
Well, I brought something that was very much in the social media sphere. I wanted to leave us with a feel-good story, because it's not all bad and destruction out there. There are stories of social media actually connecting people and help make friends. So there was this lovely feel-good story in Australia. This woman named Lucille Murray posted to her local community page. It was honestly like a message of like, help. I'm new to this town. I just escaped a bad for me relationship. And she's living with her dad in this town in Australia. I think it's pronounced Handorf. But she said specifically, I am struggling with the isolation and change, so was wondering how I could go about meeting some townfolk or maybe some new friends. Yeah. I have terrible social anxiety at the moment due to my injuries caused from the domestic violence. So Lucille's going through a lot. And the messages, Rachel, okay, hold on. Any ideas on how I can meet some new people? Feel embarrassed asking this, but I don't want to be alone any longer. I'm 39, never thought I'd be starting my life from scratch like this. And honestly, not sure where to even start. So hoping someone may help. So I shared all of that. It's sad. It's kind of a bummer. It's definitely a bummer. She's feeling that rock bottom moment and going through all of this emotionally at the same time. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments on this local small town Australian Facebook group where they are just sharing like, hey, we meet at my church on Tuesdays for coffee, or hey, this is where I go dancing. Hey, there's a community bowling league. You should join us. My name's Ben. Here's my phone number. So it's like, it was just like such a warm, wonderful, and not to mention that there were so many people stepping in to say like, sorry you went through this. I did too. Here are the groups that help me locally. So it was very much like, it felt like a hug from a community that she just raised her hand, said, help, I'm lonely. I just moved here. Can you make me some friends? And they did it.
Gina, I love this story so much. And I'm actually seeing a really interesting parallel between the show and tell I'm about to go into, because Lucille disclosed something pretty personal and hard, and she got brave and she got vulnerable, and then people showed up in response. And to me, that's the best of social media. but it's also underscores the message in this book we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Give it to us. Tell us about the book.
Well, you're reading the book too. So we are interviewing soon an incredible new author named Leslie John, who is a professor at the Harvard Business School. She actually came to us through Susie Welch, and Leslie's book is called Revealing: The Underrated Power of Oversharing. And oversharing could be my middle name. But the argument that she makes that I think is so salient is that people pull back from oversharing thinking that it's going to be detrimental to their relationship. But actually the oversharing is the magic, because when you let people in and you're real and you're vulnerable, it gives them a chance to really connect with you. And this book is so fascinating. And I think Leslie does a really commendable job of oversharing in the best way possible about her life. So you get to know her. And then she has academic information, but she also has a lot of real life examples. But how funny, because I feel like the story you're telling me about Lucille is when oversharing works. If she had just kept to herself and didn't say that it was domestic violence or that she was lonely or that this was hard for her, I don't think people might have been as generous and as forthcoming.
Yeah. Well, and I never want to brush over the fact that there was domestic violence in that story,
No.
but because it was like clearly very hard for Lucille, the original poster, but the community, just the way that people showed up for her, it was, I think, because of the saying she's lonely and because saying she's going through something like so hard and traumatic. So I just think sometimes we see the best of humanity on social media if we look for it.
I completely agree with you. And that's why I feel like painting with too broad a brush doesn't work, because it's not that social media is all bad, and it's certainly not all good, just like anything else in life. But it does feel maybe lately that you have to work a little harder to find the pockets of goodness. And if only your licensure plan and some of my wishes came to be, maybe social media would be even healthier for our lives.
Yeah. And Rachel and I would be remiss if we did not mention, if you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence, there are resources out there for you. So do not think that you have to suffer in silence. Don't wait. Ask for help.
Absolutely. Or any sort of debilitating loneliness.
Yeah. And I think that Leslie John, like in her book, she talks at length about the types of things to share and the way that we sort of build on each other's overshares. It's never you just drop the big share and hope for reciprocity. There's sort of a formula to it, right, Rachel?
Yes. Oh, I cannot wait for this episode because I have a lot of questions and a lot of notes. But in summation, it's not that you just overshare and everything is beautiful. There is a little bit more art and science to it. But the idea is that withholding too much is actually not beneficial to anyone.
What else do we want to say about social media or anything else heavy that's come up in this last little bit?
Yeah, we traversed a lot of ground.
Yeah,
I think this was really interesting. And if nothing else, I might now be a little more cognizant of when I share something on social media, if I have a feeling that it could land poorly with somebody else, maybe taking that extra moment to be like, is this worth it if someone's feelings could be hurt? And then on the flip side, if something's bringing me joy and I want to share like a beautiful family memory or an anniversary or birthday, whatever it may be, I'm allowed to do that. People don't have to follow me if they don't want to. And same for anybody else.
Yeah. Unfollow's there for you. Well, this has been an episode of The Connection Code, a podcast about friends, connections, work, and everything in between. This is a production by two friends, Rachel Gelman-Rischel and Gita Anderson-Cohen. You can follow us on Instagram or on LinkedIn using our full names there. We love to hear from you, so please send us a message. We love, love, love when listeners reach out. And thanks to Ben Cleaver for editing this podcast, and thanks to you for listening.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.